Hey guys, Nomus RC. We are going to go over radio programming, putting a helicopter model into your TX16S. This is going to be done with EdgeTX. So first thing that you do is you just click up here and then you select model. And then you can just click and hold on literally any model and let go, and then click on create model. We're going to do wizard, we're going to do plane, because helicopter is not an option on here. Channel 3 motor, yes. So we'll hit page over to the right. We will set this to 1 or 2 with Y cable. Does your model have flaps? No. 1 channel for elevator, 1 for rudder, that is fine. And then we're going to set this. We're going to click here with this button once, change it over to yes, all is well, create the plane, and now we have the model right here. Once we're at the main home screen, we can see that this is just all blank right here, right? So we're at the main screen. If you click over here, you will get select model, channel monitor, etc., etc. If you click here onto the right of the screen, you'll actually get your screen settings, about TX, etc. We want to go to screen settings, right? Then set up widgets. We want to click on this on the bottom right. We're going to say select widget. We're actually going to select timer. And then timer 1 is fine. We'll actually hit return. And then we're going to select this box up here and we're going to say select widget. And we're actually going to do outputs. And then hit return. And then we're going to click here and we're going to say select widget and we're going to say models. And then we're going to hit return. Now it's going to look like you didn't do anything there, but there is something there. We'll just set it here in a second. So you can see up here we have our channels that are monitored there, and then we have our timer, which we have not set up yet, and then we have what appears to be blank here. Hit your return key twice. Now you're actually at a saved version of your home screen. You can actually hit MDL, which is going to take us into the settings for our model. And we see that the model name is plain. We're going to change that to, let's just say, let's delete all this in here, heli test. Right? I forgot to show you guys how to set the picture. On model, you just come here and you just pick a picture. And you can take pictures and put them on your SD card, right? And put whatever you want here. We'll just set that. And then we can go ahead to timer, and we can name it timer 1, right? We can set it to on. And then we want to set it to, let's just do 4 minutes and 30 seconds, right? And then we'll hit return. And now we can see we have heli test, timer is set. We're going to want to, the only other thing that we're going to want to do right now is come down here and where it says internal RF, we want to turn that on, multi or whatever your radio has. Now it's defaulted on fly sky, whatever. This video is not about binding, so I'm not going to tell you what to select here, but we can see that we are on AETR, aileron, elevator, throttle, and rudder, right? Channel 1, 2, 3, 4. Channel 1 aileron, channel 2 elevator, channel 3 throttle, channel 4 rudder. And now if we come back here, we can actually see that our timer is starting to count down. So I'm going to want to come into MDL real quick, and we're actually going to shoot over to special functions, okay? And we're going to set switch, and I want to set this switch back here. So when I click that, you can see that it interacts with the screen. When I set SF to the forward position, and then I want to click on that so that it shows SF forward, and I want that to do reset, and then it's already set to timer 1. And then if we set these special functions up and we don't check mark the enable, they won't work. So now it's enabled, right? So now we can see our timer is not counting down anymore. And then when we arm our motor, right, then the timer starts counting. When we disarm, the timer stops and it resets to the original. So I like to set that up right away. So we have our timer completely taken care of. Let's come back into model. I'm going to go ahead and set up sounds, okay? So we'll go ahead and click here, we'll say switch, and I'm actually going to be creating a sound for this, which is flight mode normal, flight mode 1, and flight mode 2. And this switch is SE. So when we trigger SE, you'll see that it detects that. So SE all the way back, we're going to click that, and we're going to say play track, and then we're going to select which track, flight mode normal, okay? And repeat just one time. And then we're going to create another one, and we're going to set our switch to the middle position, so SE negative, and then we're going to say play track, and then we're going to select flight mode 1, hit return, we're going to create another, and then we're going to set the switch all the way forward, which is SE forward, and then we're going to say select play track, and then flight mode 2, right? And now when we flip our switch all the way back,
flight mode normal,
flight mode normal,
flight mode 1,
that's the middle position,
flight mode 2,
flight mode 2 is the front position.
flight mode normal.
So the next one that we're going to set here, you remember how we set our SF as throttle cut, right? We're going to make her say armed and disarmed. Flip the throttle cut in the furthest back position, which is SF up. And then we're going to say play track. And then we're going to click armed and hit return. And then we're going to create one more. We're going to take the throttle cut switch and move it to the off position. So all the way towards you is the off position. So here, and then we'll say play track. Now when we go to throttle on,
Armed,
and when we go throttle off,
disarmed.
disarmed. So now we have our noises for everything, right? And we're going to go all the way over to curves, right? We're going to edit. We are going to name it. And this is going to be, I'm going to use capital THC, throttle cut. We want as few points as possible. So just 2 points, that's the lowest that it will let us go. And then we want to set both of these to -100. Because this is going to cut throttle, right? Second curve that we want to set up is actually going to be throttle normal. So THN, right? This one we do want to have 5 points. I'm going to actually I'm going to do 45 there and 45 there. So throttle normal, 5 points. We want -100, 50, 0, 45, 45. This is going to be throttle 1, which is going to be our idle up 1 mode. We can actually set this to just set this to 3 points. And then just 65 all the way across. Right. And then our last throttle curve is going to be throttle 2, which is going to be idle up 2. 3 points, go back, And now we're going to set this to a throttle of 75 all the way across. Okay, and then that is all the throttle curves that we need, guys. We actually want to set up our pitch curves. So we want to say edit again. We're going to select here, capitalize P1. So here we will actually want 5 point, and we will put it to, because this is going to be normal mode, we're only going to want, say, 5 negative, and then maybe 3 negative, then 0. We'll leave that at 50, and then we'll go 65. That way we don't have a big jump in pitch when we flip from normal mode to idle up 1. So that's it for pitch 1. Let's do pitch 2. So we will name it P2 right there. Hit return, leave it at 5 points, and then we're going to set this to 75, 40, 0, 40, 75. And then that will be it for pitch 2. That's all of our throttle curves and pitch curves. So now we can start adjusting our inputs. We want to go to throttle, and we actually want to insert before. And then we're going to hit return, and we're actually going to do it again, insert before, and hit return. And then we're going to do it one more time and say insert before. So now that we have all 4 of these throttles created, we can go ahead and start editing them. So in this one, this is our throttle cut. It doesn't matter what the input name is, but we want our throttle cut to be set to SF, right?
Armed. Disarmed.
And I want it to be SF forward is cut. So that's what we are right there. And then we're going to want to come down here and go to custom, right? And then we want to go here and we want to go to THC, which is the one that we created. So that's it on that one. We want to come down to this one, edit. Now this is, if you look here, this is throttle normal, idle up, and then idle up 2. So our switch is actually going to be
Flight mode 2. Flight
SE,
mode normal.
because throttle cut is this one. Now we're moving on to this switch for the other 3 throttles. So we want it to be
Flight mode 1. Flight mode normal.
SE in the most back position, right? So that will be throttle normal. And then we want to do custom, and then we want to pick THN that we created. Now we go to the next one, and we're going to set it for
Flight mode 1. Flight mode normal. Flight
SE,
mode 1.
center position, which is SE negative, custom, and then we want to do throttle 1. And then the last one here, we will set
Flight
this
mode 2. Flight mode 1.
to SE in the most, so this one we will set to SE in the position towards us, facing us. And then we will go down to custom again, right? And then here we will pick throttle 2. And that's it, guys. All of our throttles are now set up. If we back all the way out to our main home screen, all right?
Flight mode normal.
So we have throttle hold is on, right? So we shut off throttle hold. Now we have our normal curve, which goes to 45. Now throttle is still turned on. We'll go to flight mode 1.
Flight mode 1.
Now we're just at a constant 65 for throttle. No matter what we move our slider to, we're at a constant 65 throttle. Flight mode 2.
Flight mode 2.
And now we're at a constant 75 throttle, no matter what we do with the throttle. All right, so we would come down to number 6 here, say edit. We're going to name this pitch 1. We're going to make the switch
Flight mode 1. Flight mode normal.
SE backwards, flight mode normal. This needs to be set to throttle. And then we'll do custom here. And then we'll do pitch 1. Now if you'll remember, pitch 1 is our normal mode. Pitch 2 is for flight mode 1 and flight mode 2. So now we're going to basically just duplicate this one and say insert after. And then we'll duplicate again and just say insert after. So now we can select the middle one. We can say edit. We don't have to worry about switching the name, but we will need to switch the switch to the middle position, SE in the middle. Turn this to throttle. And then custom. And then this will be pitch 2, which is idle up 1. Now we will go to edit on this last one. We will move the switch completely forward.
Flight mode 2.
SE towards us. Throttle. Custom. And pitch 2. So there's our 3 right there.
Flight mode normal.
We have normal.
Flight mode
1.
Flight mode 2.
And 2 for our pitches. So now you can see we have our throttles all set up here. Cut, normal, idle up 1, idle up 2, and then our pitch, normal, idle up 1, idle up 2. Now we're going to come down to mixes, okay? So channel 5, we're actually going to want to name gyro. Alright, we're going to set this to S1, which is actually the dial right here. And as you can see, once we select S1, right, now when we move the dial, we can see up top right here, we can see that it's moving stuff. Now in your Spirit software or your flybarless controller software or whatever, most controllers, and you can leave everything else default, most controllers know that channel 5 is going to be, if you want on-the-fly gyro adjustment on your radio, they will know that channel 5 is what you're going to use, okay? Now in the Spirit software, it just basically says, do you want gyro radio controlled or software controlled? Which means you set it in the software and then you can never touch it again. So I set mine to radio controlled, and then you set channel 5 in your radio. Again, that's how most are. I'm sure there's one out there that's the exception, but most are channel 5 is your gyro channel. Okay, now we need to enable our pitches. So we come down to channel 6 under mixes, say edit, and then we can name this PIT 1. So when we create this, we come in here to source and we select PIT1 with this symbol, and that symbol is for the inputs. Remember the 3 inputs pitches that we created that we named PIT1? So we would select that, and then that's going to automatically use all 3 of those pitches with all the different positions on our switch. And then you can leave everything else at default. And then what that's going to do is that's going to make it so that when you're on, if you look at your channel monitor screen, right, we have
Armed.
That's our normal mode, so we can see our throttle down here, channel 3, goes from -100 up to 45, and our pitch goes from 5% to 65%.
Flight mode 1.
And then it will actually go 75, 75 for flight mode 1, which is what we want, with 65%. throttle,
Flight mode 2.
and then 75% throttle in flight mode 2, and still 75% for the pitch. So that's exactly what we want, guys. And there is a lot of stuff that you can play with, right? You can go in and mess with sounds and tracks, and you can do different things in here. Technically in here, if you were to like say our disarmed switch, right? You could actually say override, and then you could say override channel 3, and then you could say value -100, and then enable, right? So if you think about it, what you just did right there is you actually also created a throttle hold switch, right? We did it with pitch curves. We created a throttle cut, right? But you can also do it with a special function. So I just wanted to show you guys that because it's kind of nice to know that there's a lot that you can do here. All right, guys, that is it. That is full programming for EdgeTX on a TX16 Radiomaster radio.